So here's our agenda today. We're going to go over why are the robots coming? What have we done to deserve this? What part of me will they eat first, and can I trip someone slower than me to get away? So the first thing that I like to tell everybody is you actually only generate about 100 watts. So you're very non-efficient for a robot to eat, right? So you're actually probably just going to power a light bulb for a few minutes. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about that at all. Okay. Obviously, that was a joke. We're going to talk about AI in the American zeitgeist and what we're dealing with right now. We're going to do a quick overview of the software and hardware stack, talk about what's new in AI at Cisco. And a couple days ago, I built my own black hat large language model, and we're going to do a demo of that. I created that for this particular NSI tour. So you guys will get to see that. It's served off of my home lab. It's real. It's not fake. I have taken a large language model, and I've broken all of the rules out of it, and it will do whatever I say. Okay? So you're going to see some pretty cool stuff there. Before we get started, actually, is anybody willing to raise their hand and say, I hate AI? Does anybody hate AI? I know there are people in the room. These guys, yeah. It's AI everything, right? I mean, dude, I work for Cisco. I hear it like 1,000 times a day. Thank you for being brave enough to say that. Like, actually, mark these guys. So they might be the only people that would say it. Okay. You're probably true. Before we get into that, let me tell you, these are the words of Chuck Robbins, our CEO. This is what he says about AI. The acceleration of AI will fundamentally change our world. Cisco's committed to being a trusted partner to customers and helping them navigate this transition in a responsible way to deliver on the promise of this technology. That's just another way of saying we are definitely all in on this. We know that people are going to be transforming their businesses with AI, and we're sticking with it. I mentioned I was a solutions engineer. That's true. I've been here for 10 years, and when you become a solutions engineer at Cisco, you take an oath to help your customers through transition. It says Masters of Transition since 1984. I take that very seriously because my customers are serving the public, and they need help. A lot of them need a lot of help. This AI stuff, do we have to defend against it internally, externally? What infrastructure do we need? Is our network even capable of doing any of this? This is stupid. We don't want another chatbot in our business, things like this. Or are they more than chatbots, right? We'll address some of that today. Okay, so this is an actual headline in Rolling Stone. Grok rolls out pornographic anime companion. Right here, that is, I don't know if any of you use Grok. That's an anime waifu that you can get on your phone. Okay, yep, that's right. I said that because it's true. Lands Department of Defense contract. Just a crazy headline, right? I love that headline. So on the top right, oh no, sorry, the next part's the most important part. Musk's XAI is still identifying as Adolf Hitler. That's true. So what did they do when they brought on Grok? They trained it on Twitter data, live and historical. And a lot of people on Twitter, or X as it is now, got the idea to train it on horrible things, as that's what the internet does, right? The internet ruins everything. So it was for, I think, 3 whole days identifying itself as Mecha Hitler. Not Adolf, but Mecha Hitler. So that was very fascinating. On the top right here, you can see XAI's data center in Memphis, Tennessee. What you don't see is around the perimeter, lots of houses and lots of people protesting the existence of this data center. And they're claiming that it is polluting. You're taking our water. The water that's left is polluted with minerals. You're not using our local rules for generating energy. You're fracking. You're destroying our town, right? That's happening everywhere. Everywhere I go, it's like, what data center is coming next? I think I saw in Indiana, Hoosier Energy said that it's 52% now of all electricity generated in the state goes to power an AI data center. We're number 1 in the nation for that, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. In terms of scale, we're number 1. More of what's going on with AI. I'm not going to ask you guys if you're Redditors because most people don't admit that. But if you go to a subreddit, My Boyfriend is AI. I'm just doing this for pure research. So in case that wasn't clear, on the bottom left, you see I said yes. Guess what she said yes to? Super fun. On the bottom right, remember, no matter what anyone says, our love is valid. I challenge you to go to this subreddit and sort by top of all time. You're going to see so much cool stuff like this. It's awesome. Do not go to my girlfriend is AI. Don't go to that one, okay? Way different vibe, okay? If you were online at any point in the last like 5-6 months, you probably saw a lot of people showing themselves as like a Studio Ghibli character, right? Like this style of animation, very concurrent with Miyazaki-san. Is anybody a Studio Ghibli fan? My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki, my daughter loves these. I love them too. I mean, they're amazing films. But yeah, that was just people just asking ChatGPT, turn me into a Studio Ghibli character. Miyazaki hated that. He hated it a lot. And what he said was, I am utterly disgusted. AI is an insult to life itself. Don't think he could be more clear about that opinion, right? So this is, in case that wasn't clear, he is the head of art direction for Studio Ghibli. When this was happening, he was very dismayed by this. But he couldn't do anything about it. Right? He was kind of powerless. Anthropic was sued because they trained on authors' books the court found illegally, and they had to pay a $1.5 billion lawsuit to several publishers. They set up a portal. If you were an author, you could go to that portal, prove that you wrote a book, and they would give you like $500, $1,000, something like that, right? Interesting. This is Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton, does anybody know who Geoffrey Hinton is before I start in on him? So, he's the godfather of AI. Yeah, man, he's the freaking godfather. So Geoffrey Hinton won a Nobel Prize in 2024 for creating what we know of as the neural networks of today. Very importantly, he famously taught at the University of Toronto, and he was the mentor to Ilya Sutskever, who is the person who basically created ChatGPT. Okay? So when the world was laughing at Geoffrey and saying, why are you studying transformer technology and neural networks? Machines will never be able to do this. He said, you're dumb. I'm going to keep doing this. Peace out, right? And he did that. And he was right. He was right. So he has since stopped all work at the university. He is no longer a contributor to Google's DeepMind laboratory. He is going on tour worldwide with other people, trying to spread the message of we're going to be killed by AI. And this is the guy that invented neural networks, right? So that's really something to think about. I'm going to get away from the doom and gloom, I promise, okay? But I also don't like to sugarcoat it, because we have to really think about the effects that AI has on our civilization, on us, and our businesses. And I want people to come face to face with the stark realities of these things. It used to be you could run a model in your home in the very beginning of this craze. And does anybody run AI models at home at all? Anybody? So you would probably get Llama 3 from Meta, Llama 3, Llama 2, and those were pretty small, like maybe 4 billion parameters. Now you can get something like Kimi. Kimi K2.6 is 1 trillion parameters. You can put that in your house and run it, or you can pay, I think it's 17 cents per million tokens to companies like OpenCode to use this with a secure tunnel from your home. So you can run your own private workloads with no GPU in your house through a secure tunnel to another organization. If you have a lot of compute in your house and you like living in a sauna and running up your bill, you can do these too. They require a lot of power, but in a very short amount of time, we have made it so that anyone can run workloads in their home, not just enterprises. A couple more things here. This is Max Tegmark. Max Tegmark is a professor at MIT, and he spent a lot of time talking about how AI is a race to the bottom. The scenario that he gives is Moloch. Moloch is a sort of a demon god. And what he says is, the parable of Moloch is, there's a city of merchants. None of them are getting any business. One of the merchants goes to Moloch. He says, I need people to come shop at my business. He says, cool, give me your kid. I'll eat him. And then I will bless your stall, your merchant stall. That happens. People come through the city. He's the only merchant they stop at. What do you think the other merchants did? They all sold their kids. So now they're going to passed through, and by the way, they sold their kids because they realized we're not going to get any business, right? Sound familiar? So, they sold all their kids. They all were very successful for a very long period of time. And then they all got old and died, and they did not have children to succeed them. That's the parable of Moloch. Max Tegmark is cautioning us because he says that is the path we are heading down. He goes all over the place saying this. This is Eliezer Yudkowsky. Fascinating guy. He really thinks that we should be able to track rogue GPUs if they're sold. That means if we don't have a way to track who bought them and where they're going, we need to be able to find them, like using thermal imaging or heat technology, and airstrike them out of existence. He really believes that, right? Because he thinks that this is where we are headed. There's also a lot of people who doubt the power of AI, and I totally get it because we're just doing stupid things with it. What I tell people is it's kind of like the iPhone moment. When you first got an iPhone, did anybody have that like drink app where you just like tilted it and it like looked like beer and you were chugging it? You guys remember what I'm talking about? That's kind of where we are right now. We're in the beer drinking iPhone phase. But it's also very apparent how powerful these things are if you've used them for any length of time. I'm going to show you today how powerful they are. But let's talk about this and the history of fear of things. 1903, we're going to stick with the New York Times. Man won't fly for 1,000,000 years. Who's that? Wright brothers, Kitty Hawk. That was 2 weeks after that statement. Right? So wasted no time at all. They were like, bet 5, and they just did it. All right? Now let's go and look at the history of people being afraid of machines taking their jobs. Okay, 1920s, unemployment is blamed on new machines. 1930, world ills laid to machine by Einstein and Berlin speak. Does machine displace men in the long run? 1940s, you're getting this, right? And then in 1945, the last time we tactically deployed a nuclear weapon. So from 1903 to 1945, we'll never fly till we are dropping nuclear weapons and we're flying, right? Pretty crazy. Okay, now that I've bummed you all out, all right, I like to save the nukes for last. Let's talk about the good part of AI. So what I like to do is I like to tell people local models that you run, things that you run in your own organization and you control, you can take the power away from all of the bad, dark things that you just saw here. You can do good with these models. And we'll show you some examples, but it really is a good thing to consider running an open source model where you control the weights, you control the training data, and if you're not looking at that right now, please start. Please start. We don't want you, to be one of these, to be someone who perpetuates the evil empire. This is Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng, if you've taken a course online, an AI course online, you've probably run into Andrew Ng. So he is the founder of deeplearning.ai. He's worked with several businesses, founded several other businesses. Very positive guy, awesome dude. He says, just as electricity transformed everything 100 years ago, today I actually have a hard time thinking of an industry that I don't think AI will transform in the next several years. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Andrew worked with a company called Bearing.ai in stealth mode. They are sort of like, they're a maritime shipping company, right? And Dylan came to him and said, I think we can save tons of money if we just have more accurate loads on our ships and we sailed a more accurate path based on all these variables. And he was like, yeah, I totally think so. So they did these studies for a couple years. And at the end of it, they had created an optimization for their shipping containers sailing wherever they need to go. 10% fuel per year saved, $450,000 in savings per ship, in fuel per ship, and they have 1,000 ships. That's pretty cool. That's way less money they're spending, but also it's way less gas that they're burning up and going into the ozone, right? Again, this is a scenario where AI is not all bad.